Ivan and Eric. Eric just got off the scene for some reason. Oh, there he is. That's my guy. And this is section
I'm here.
128. We got a live show here for you. We're going to be talking about Cruz Azul tomorrow. Big, big game. But of course, talking about Orlando and the smashing that happened at BMO Stadium. I happen to be in Orlando right now, just celebrating my mom and some other different things. But excited to talk to you guys about LAFC. But first, as usual, Fugazi. All right, guys. Appreciate you both being here. I'm here with Eric Holstrom, Ivan, the creator. Ivan, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being here, buddy. How you been?
Good, good. How's everybody? Miss both of y'all. I know Eric is watching the team from afar, but excited. If you're not excited about this match versus Cruz Azul, I know we're going to talk about the Orlando match, but this is what we live for. These are the type of games I think that the players get out of bed for, and I'm assuming the fans should be getting out of bed and excited about this week.
Yeah, bro, like, and you're gonna have a very interesting perspective into this game. The fact that you're a massive Cruz Azul fan, but you've also been a massive LAFC supporter from day one, and you got some really interesting takes. Hence, Ivan takes. We'll talk about Ivan takes during our show. Eric, how you doing, buddy? Straight from Oklahoma City. What's up, bro?
Yeah, nothing much, man. Just, happy we have our MLS back starting last weekend. And man, looking forward to our CCC run here starting tomorrow. Biggest game of the season so far. So I'm doing good. A little nervous, but doing good.
I know, man. Like we're all nervous, but look, man, this is what we live for. It's for the big games. But before we get into that, I have to ask Ivan. I know you've been trying to cancel those season tickets for a minute right now, but tell me this, brother. What's going on? Like, did you go to the game? Have you been to a game this year? And what are your thoughts about LAFC now that we've seen them 10 times in 2026, brother?
Yeah, no, it's been fun. Yeah, I still have season tickets. So for those asking, they're still active.
Yes,
I've been to game.
I win. Just kidding.
I've been to a few games, but it's impossible to make it to all of them, especially right now. Just trying to make time for everything, and I think the team is good. I don't know if it's the best. Yeah, Eric, the best it can be. The Orlando match, I think, got everybody very excited, but as we all know with MLS, like some of these matches are gonna happen with teams that they're good, but they're not gonna be competing. They're traveling far. So, I think as far as the teams going this year, it's something that we've seen before, right? So it's like playing a video game where you're like, you can't pass that last level. So we're just kind of building up to getting to that boss fight. And I think that they're doing it in a lot more of a prettier fashion in terms of
Hmm.
what some people like to watch in terms of soccer.
Hmm.
But I guess I'm cautiously optimistic about the team overall, but I'm not saying like they're the top contenders. Maybe like top four
Okay.
contenders.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I know, and I think we're one of the top contenders. But contending MLS means a lot of things, and it's hard to predict something that is going to happen in 10 months from now. So we got to kind of look about what's happening today. And Eric's been a big believer that once you've seen 10 games, you can gauge a team. So
Yeah.
Eric, tell me a little bit about what you've seen of this LAFC team, and where's your head with your expectations of how far they can get.
Yeah. Shout out. This is the what we call the Pookie Gomez rule here for a bunch of years now, which is basically like you got to reserve your big judgment on a team until you've seen them play 10 games together. and we are now past that 10-game mark, and it's a pretty impressive 10-game mark so far. So I'm feeling a little more optimistic than Ivan is about this team. I'm not sure that I'm ready to go say, hey, we're the world beaters right now. We're putting a triple together, because generally that's impossible. The best MLS teams can struggle against 10 other MLS teams if they're having their best day. And it's just even team as stacked as we are. But that said, if we have our best day and the other team has their best day, we should be coming through with it. In a perfect world, this is what we see. So I like what I see. It's hard to argue with the results right now. Mark Dos Santos has not lost a game. So, I mean, this is unbelievable. We are setting a record for clean sheets going here now. And man, I mean, it's another good year to be an LAFC fan, honestly. And
It's always a good year to
especially
be
after
an
kind of last
LAFC
season taking off.
fan.
So
No, look, it's always a good year to be an
I think the
LAFC
sky's the
fan,
limit
whether
with
we're
this
good or bad.
team right now, because I do think they're still putting together. One thing that's kind of last game is that I feel like the depth we've had than the depth we've had in the past. Because I know we've had depth in the past, but when we see the guys come in, Ordaz is way better than Ordaz 2 years ago. Boyd looks pretty good. Schaffelberg looks good. We still have Segura on the bench, which is a luxury for a reserve. Man, I mean, it's even with Eustachio gone, we still seem to be doing okay. We have 3 or 4 guys that could probably be in our best 11. We're still chugging along, and I still think you can't count us out.
Yeah, bro. Like, and here's the thing about what I see. The odd man out seems to be David Martinez, because like he might be being looked at it for a transfer. He's a person that may not have attain everything we've wanted him to attain, and he's been here for a while now. So I'll go to you, Ivan. Like, is there someone in the chopping block before we go into anyone? We're still seeing LAFC involved with some of these transfer rumors, like Lucas Moura from Brazil. So, that would mean some of these guys would have to be on the chopping block. David Martinez, if I'm not mistaken, didn't play much in this last game, or if it didn't really have a big role. So, do you think he's on the chopping block following this game and this sequence, and given some of the murmurs that have come about his transfer to Spain?
Yeah, I think there is. I think Eric would probably be a good person to answer. But the 4 U22 and 3 or 2DPs path that LAFC took is going to be a factor. So Smolyakov, Igor, I think I forget who the other 2 are, but that'll be a decision come summer. That I guess it really depends if they do win CCC, the Champions Cup. I really don't think anything matters after that. They're just gonna go with whatever's gonna give them the best team. But I think Smolyakov right now, everybody's seeing. I mean, nobody's seen much of him this season in terms of minutes, so he's definitely up there on the transfer or some sort of trade deal. Ibobasi, I know he just came back last. Somebody said that was his first game this whole season. That's another player where like he has good trade value, and I think maybe if you want to pick up a better defender, some sort of maybe something else that's not a striker, because I don't think that's a heavy role that LAFC needs right now. And those would be the 2. And then Martinez would be more of a game time decision, because I think he's the best player LAFC has right now. And
You
he
do?
is somebody
Okay.
that can change a game. But given
Yeah.
his talent, his youth, it's good trade value, but also do they sit on it and wait? Like we've seen that story many times.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right, Eric? You kind of sit on this guy, and he hasn't been everything that we wanted to be, and he's getting older, So we're starting to see this a little bit with Mini Berhalter in Vancouver. So, what do you think of between some of the transfer rumors you brought up in the pre-show to me, and the fact that we might have a pretty stacked roster, bro? So, like, if we're gonna bring guys in, some of these guys are gonna have to leave. So, what do you think in terms of chopping block? Smolyakov, I agree, but he's also in a position that, I get it. He's a left back. He's just depth. But who do you see being one of those active players on the offensive side that could be basically saying, hey, it might be your time to move away from LAFC because we have Schaffelberg, we have all these guys that are like playing really well over the young dudes.
Yeah, I think this gets a little bit tricky. Interesting. So I'll start with Schaffelberg, who you bring up. He plays a much different
He was
style than
good.
any left
He
winger
was
that
very
I've ever
good, by
seen
the
us.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some great crossing, some of the best crossing I've seen since we had Diego Palacios on the team. I think, if not the best crosses I've seen since Palacios was in the team 3 years ago. So
Yes.
we have this. I will say, as much as I know this is my topic, I brought up the guys looking here. I think it's a little premature to look at like who's going to move on. I think the roster we have is going to go through the summer, and if this is a roster that lifts the CCC championship, I think we'll have a little more to talk about, like who's ready to move up. Which I think Martinez is one definitely that, if he's going to go to Europe, should be after a CCC title. But the boys have to win the title. I think if they win this championship, these opportunities are going to be there for these guys. If we look at our roster and how deep it is, Ordaz, for example, he hasn't seen the field too much, but when he does, he's pretty much scoring goals as well. I think because Martinez has looked so explosive in a different role, we kind of forget that Ordaz is a really good player out there. I mean, Ordaz is starting on probably 25 out of 30 MLS teams at this point. So
Absolutely.
we have that. We have Smolyakov, who I can only speculate is just not the right kind of player for Mark Dos Santos' system. And I think we did hear before that he wants every fullback to be able to play a center back role as well. And Artem is the one guy in that back line who I think you look at, he's more of a wing back presence. You want him attacking forward, but playing shutting down guys one-on-one is a struggle for him at this age. So I think he's definitely one. I'm not sure what use he is to us this season at this point. And, he hasn't seen the field and we haven't lost a game. So we're not really losing that much. I love the kid. I love watching him play. For his life and for his journey, I think it makes sense for him to go somewhere else where he's going to get those minutes and find a system that wants him. So
Yeah, exactly. Because I really believe, Eric, that we're not utilizing David to the extension and to the extent that we should. And we have always this duality, like, well, if we utilize Martinez the way we should, then that means like Nate the Great has to sit. And that duality seems to like make people uncomfortable. Ivan, like if you had to choose one of the two, right? And like, please just be honest, right? These guys are really good and they have different qualities, but they're also two youngsters with value right now. And LAFC hasn't necessarily made a splash in the market selling for a while, and we spend quite a lot of money bringing Sonny and some of these guys. So, I mean, does it make sense to move one of them really soon? Again, these guys are up and coming and they're showing good value right now. Who would you move, given that looks like Nate can play midfielder? Did you guys notice that he started as a midfielder in this game? And then David just kind of stuck, but he seems to have an amazing ability to finish. Like, so who's the bigger loss in this case?
Oof, I think that's a
By the way,
great
I don't know
question.
the answer. I'm like,
No,
I
it's
pull my hair.
here's the thing, you can go into like an A and B testing model with them because something about Martinez not being able to play full games has been consistent. And that's a problem going into a long season. I know he's played full 90 minutes a couple matches, but at the 60th, 70th, he just gasses out. It's just the way he plays, maybe, or his conditioning. I think Ordaz has been the best supplement for Sun. And if you want to build around Sun, then Ordaz is a player to keep because Martinez and Sun obviously can complement each other well, but I think Ordaz and Sun have better chemistry. So obviously they're going to build around the $25 million transfer player, right?
Mhm.
Versus an up and comer. So I would probably, football wise, like Martinez is a better player, but just because what Ordaz represents and that Sun, Boanga, and that up three factor with them three, I think it's a better way to go long term. But again, it's just a matter of where everybody's heads at. I know Ordaz has had some soundings for Liga MX, which I think will be a good move for him overall. But that's something that we hear all the time about LAFC players, so I can't take that as a fact. But I would probably keep Ordaz right now because if it wasn't for him, Son wouldn't be performing like the way he is. If you rewatch the game last Saturday, a lot of the moves, a lot of the spaces that he was occupying were benefiting Son's assists. So obviously that helps the team overall and helps
Mhm.
Boanga score.
So Eric, like, let me ask you this: like, we saw a modified starting 11 for the games against Orlando. Ryan Hollins had, I believe, started, and again Nate Ordaz on in the midfield. With what the fella now it escapes me. Oh God, the Nashville cat. God, please someone help me. That started and scored for us. His first goal.
Oh,
Totally
Boyd,
blanking out on this kid.
Boyd,
Hmm?
Tyler
Thank you.
Boyd.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd. My bad. He's literally. I've had a long day. I'm in Orlando. I've had a whole day in a park today, so I'm winging this shit and I'm forgetting things. But Tyler Boyd starts with Nate the Great as listed as a midfielder. So talk to me about the starting 11 for Orlando. What did you see there? Was this a rotation or tactical change for Mark Dos Santos?
Well, I think before the game he said he was going to do a partial rotation, which which is interesting. It's not a whole lot of rotation on here. Just looking at it, we have basically Ordaz and Boyd rotated in. And one of the thing I think with going back to the dilemma between Ordaz and Martinez is just we have our front three guys, and Boanga and Son are always going to be there, which only gives us one more spot. So it was interesting seeing Ordaz back. And one of the things I think with this, especially with the midfield, is the way Mark Dos Santos likes to kind of play. He likes to have two midfielders that can push forward and press with the three forwards, and he likes to keep the guy in the middle, whether it was Ilie before under Dolo or whether it was Igor Jesus. He likes to keep one midfielder back to help cover the back line, and then the fullbacks will push forward, kind of to help cover as well, or they'll roll back. So he likes to keep one midfielder the kind of reserved, and the other two midfielders he likes to work. And so I think for any other guy putting them back that far gets trickier. And I think with Martinez, part of it is that his stamina is just, or the way he plays the game, he's not the run for days kind of guy, I think, which is why they kind of pull him out. But since we have the depth, it works. But
Yeah, and the depth has been the one theme of this season that perhaps Dolo didn't have or didn't know how to use it. And I think Mark Dos Santos has been instrumental in knowing how to use this roster and understanding who are the best players are fit for the game and such. And I love Tyler Boyd. I think he's a hustler, and when he's healthy, he gives you minutes that Ebobisi and some of these guys have not seen, have not done for us. So I think he's been fitting into the system really, really well. And again, we saw Jacob Schaffelberg come in and give us a glimpse of what he can do. Another Canadian national with with history with the Canadian national team coming to us. It almost seems like Mark Dos Santos is auditioning to be the next Canadian national team coach. I'm not gonna say that I think that's going to happen, but it seems like he's really kind of trying to become friends with everybody around that place, so he has a shot someday. So, but before we
Schaffelberg
go
just
on,
Yeah,
go ahead,
Schaffelberg,
Evan.
he changes the whole look of the attack. When he
Hmm.
came in and started crossing was like the last thing Orlando had in their mind going against us. They're like, oh, they'll
Right.
cross sometimes from Palencia, but he's not very accurate and he can get shut down easy. But
Oh my
Schaffelberg,
God.
it's like they all wanted to cheat inside because they're so used to Denny cutting inside that when he fakes inside and goes outside for the cross, all of a sudden, like he gets a nice cross, and man, he just dimed those things.
He was diamond, and and again, I've always been impressed by him. I saw him play against him, against us. The last game, it was the game that they were giving us the Supporter Shield trophy, and he torched us. He torched us, and he beat us almost. They beat us that game, even though we got the trophy. So I knew he was an excellent player. I'm so happy that he is with us. But again, last thoughts on Orlando. The one thing I've been saying here as a theme for the beginning of the season in MLS, I'm glad we're the only left team that hasn't been beaten yet, Ivan. That's something to be sad about. But if you look at the retrospect of who we've played, a lot of weak teams there. Is this a fluke, or do you really believe LAFC is in contention for the Supporter Shield in 2026?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say earlier about the Shaft minutes. Like that's the 20th minute, the game was over. So you, we can say that the team was obviously very like firing on all cylinders. But you saw Tuesta like at certain minute he was like, I just want this shit to end. Like he was done with it, right? So again, you can take those minutes as some data, but I don't think you'll get that kind of space with any other team. And I think with
Hmm.
Elliott right now is something that I don't think I've seen. Maybe I don't remember, but continuity. So a lot of the players are still here. I mean, as much as people love or can hate certain players, that matters for it's they're in their home base. They're not traveling a lot in terms of having to leave the country for another team or whatever. Like they've been here with their family. Their kids are going to school, same school or whatever. So I think that continuity has been different because beginning of the season, I think last year we were missing like at least 5, 6 key bench players, right? So if we
Hmm.
have this coming into this season, like there's a squad easily 13, 14 players that can be starting, with the exception of a couple, right, that maybe are not like Boudry and them are probably not there yet. But that's the biggest difference is continuity. And we can talk about what's better is reinforcing for the summer or not. I think it's better just to keep what you have. I would have liked to kept other players versus some, but that's the coaches are with them all the time and they know who's valuable to them in this squad. But yeah, I agree. Mark Dos Santos is proving himself, right? But nothing is said and done until you lift that trophy or you get something out of it. So winning
Hmm.
games, goals is awesome, but you have to win in terms of making this thing feel like it's worth something.
Bro, like that's the challenging of soccer in the United States because yeah, I got you, Eric. In any other sport, winning means everything. But in our in football, you have to win at the right time. And Dolo was crucified by winning at the wrong time. He would win games that were meaningless. Eric, go ahead, man.
Yeah. I just kind of, as Ivan was talking about, and brings up Baudry, who we didn't even talk about. Like our depth is ridiculous. On the bench, we had Chonier, Raposo's been playing good. Man, Ebobisi is he's still a good MLS player. Segura, Smolyakov. It's like I think underneath we can kind of see almost like a caterpillar going into a cocoon and coming out. Like we can kind of see the foundations of the next LAFC underneath with these players. And I think it's going to look a little different than it has under Dolo. But we're still kind of with the personnel that Cherundolo had with his, which is a lot of counter pressing.
Mm.
But I think we can kind of see underneath for later in the season more of a possession based, more of a crossing based lineup coming out of guys that aren't ready yet. But when
Mm.
Baudry is a starter, we can kind of see him rampaging through the middle of the field with Schaffelberg sending crosses in. And, the other guy is that on our 2-week break that we saw gone that we didn't really get too much into is,
Mm.
oh man, I check my notes because I'm blanking. The Portuguese guy on Man City.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, no, no, that we meant to talk about that, and that's a good point. You want to talk about Bernardo
Bernardo
Silva,
Silva,
the captain,
Casemiro,
the
and Lucas
captain there.
Moura. All,
Again, and then
yeah.
Casemiro also linked to MLS. So, yeah, Bernardo Silva coming to MLS would be huge. And again, another Portuguese player with a link to again LAFC. So, Eric, go ahead and talk about that and what it would mean for this guy to come to us and become, I mean, he would immediately become our captain, right? I mean, what would you do?
Yeah. I mean, I think Bernardo Silva coming to MLS is a little bit of a long shot. He seems like a guy that's got Saudi written all over him because they're going to give him the bag. But he could come here, and I think any team would open up a third DP slot. They'd open up a DP slot in the summer to grab him. Casemiro's another one, another free agent coming this summer. whether he comes here or whether he goes to
To
Saudi
Carson.
or the Middle East is also another big question. But they're there, and then Lucas Moura, who's coming up as well this summer with Tottenham ties and all of that. I mean, on a TAM, maybe it could be an interesting thing. But the point is that with all these guys coming, I think there could be some turnover this summer, and we could see a new team kind of start to get put together once
I
this
mean,
goes through. Just kind of to wrap it up with these other
for
guys.
fuck's sakes, man, why does it always have to be LAFC, LA Galaxy, and Inter Miami? For fuck's sakes, just someone else. Go after Lucas Moura. Give him a TAM con. Chicago could use a winger. Like, why would we use a left winger? Where would
Griezmann's
you
going to
play a left winger?
Orlando.
I get it. We need depth, but this guy plays on the left flank of the field, maybe in the middle. So he's coming into like what? Play minutes that could become Terry's minutes at some point. We asked the coach in the beginning of the season, like, are you gonna play the youth? And if you play a guy like Lucas Moura, a guy that has all this injury, all this baggage behind him, like, what are you gonna do with your youth? You're essentially not giving them a chance, right, Ivan? So I ask you this. Is it time to give this youth a chance? I want to see Terry play. This kid is excellent and he needs to pop. But LAFC does not play young people. We know that, right? So what gives, right? Do we go after these, high caliber players, or do we give guys a chance like Evans and Terry, dudes that we know are ready to pop, and LAFC is not featuring so far?
It's tough to say because if you have LAFC as a contender, you definitely don't want to start Terry.
I know.
And if it's something that you want to build around, I don't think LAFC is there yet. I think they need to win a few more for them to be. We are, a league that generates talent, creates talent. I don't think the fans would want that unless that talent is like born and bred here in LA. That would have a different significance. I don't know
Mm.
if Terry is or not, he might be, but and I think if you're looking at some of these transfers coming in, obviously everybody wants to play for LAFC. Griezmann wanted to play for LAFC, he got stuck with Orlando. So that's sort of like the you know, LAFC is probably the first person they think of. MLS has other structures, but I do want to see more young players. I personally think that we kind of wasted a couple years in the past, and some of these players probably could have been good depth. And in terms of that roster building and that the financial side of it, it could have been a lot better for LAFC right now in terms of having more GAM, more flexibility. But you stretch out too much when you don't play young people, and it creates bigger problems like in the future. I don't know if
Mhm.
MDS is the kind of coach that wants to develop talent. That's a
He
question I
said he
think
did. He said he was. He said to me he was to my face. He's like, man, these guys, I'm excited about that. And then like he's a goddamn Canadian fucking fast in our team, like with little sprinkles of Portuguese. I mean, damn, bro, like what the fuck? I'm sorry.
I, I saw his press conference today. It was very interesting. It's one of the ones that I was like, I don't know. He looked very nervous, but he was answering some questions. I was like, I was kind of caught me off guard with his body language. Um, he said
His
something
body
along the
language is
lines of,
out there.
yeah, he was like, I want Portuguese to win the World Cup. Like that's my goal this year. And I'm like, I don't know if that's related to this team, but anyways,
He
you
he
guys will get a
he
chance to
said
watch
that
it.
to me. He said that
Yeah,
Portugal and Brazil will feature in the World Cup final. And last time I got to interview him 5 years ago, I mean he was just an assistant, and he told me like exactly what's gonna happen to Canada, exactly who was gonna do well, and it fucking went through. So he knows ball, right, Eric? Like this guy. I was thinking to myself because it's no accident he's been the success he's been, right? And we're gonna switch to Cruz Azul, but you have the last word on this because Mark Dos Santos is not a rookie. He's not a guy without a resume. He's got UEFA licenses. He's been an MLS coach before. He understands the cap. He's a politician. Have you seen him? He cites Jesus when he wants to. I mean, this man is out there. What is like the ceiling for Mark Dos Santos, understanding the unbelievable start he's had and the resume he's built over the years? Last question before we go to the Cruz Azul match breakdown.
his ceiling is very hard to predict because he's been a known quantity for a while. But is it the situation he was in, or is it his own ability? And you can argue, and we went over this, his Vancouver situation there, how it was a very non-ideal situation for a coach. And his situation here is pretty ideal. And so far, he's off to an absolute dream start with it. So I think we're going to find out. And I think this Cruz Azul matchup is going to tell us a lot about who he is as a coach. It looked like a team that went out against Orlando and they put their boot on their neck and they started grinding it into the ground, with absolutely zero remorse. So if they keep this attitude and do that, I mean, it's going to be there. But how the ceiling that he has is, it's going to depend on the team lifting a CCC Cup this year. If he does that, I mean, the whole world is going to look at MDS as a coach and say, all right, what kind of sauce is he sprinkling? Yeah. And the last thing too, with the way he's, I know he did talk about bringing out the kids because we had brought up the miss of Luca Bombino and this and that. But look, on a CCC run like this at the beginning of the season, you can't get cute and play the kids like that. Like this is a prize. You put your best 11 out there to go, and they have to leave everything on the field, and you worry about tomorrow when tonight ends.
Well, it's gonna be the best 10 because Eustáquio does not seem to be coming back anytime soon. That man is at FC Porto. It's tough. I don't know if FC Porto is gonna release him once again. They have the right to recall the player anytime as a loan, so it could be over for us with Eustáquio. It was good while it lasted.
Regardless,
we hope he comes back. But
regardless,
we're not gonna have him either.
Eustáquio is a guy we picked up for this tournament. 100%. He was picked up for this tournament. If we weren't in this tournament, they wouldn't have picked him up. They'd run with what we have. So I don't want to say that he won't come back. I think if we go through against Cruz Azul, it's always possible that he can be back to help us out. If we presumably go against, I believe, Club America is or they're on the other side. No, it'd be Toluca, right? Or Pachuca.
Toluca or the Galaxy.
Yeah, Toluca. Yeah, it's not gonna be the Galaxy. They're about the. I can't wait for that game.
You don't know what the fuck is gonna happen.
It's going to be a slaughter, Celso, an epic slaughter. That team is horrible.
Well, I had Gabriel Pack, and again, you never count an MLS side out because, again, they look like shit on MLS, but the likelihood of you looking good in both tournaments is very unlikely. You've been a fan of MLS long enough to know how fucking hard it is to do well in both tournaments. By the way, as you can see, I put these guys to each side because I want them to battle a bit. I'm gonna ask you, Ivan, to be a massive Cruz Azul fan. Put your LAFC, hat to the side a little bit, and I know it's to the back, but I want you to play the Cruz Azul fan here for us, so that everybody that's listening understands what is this team that we're gonna play. It's a very good team, the second best team in Liga MX this year, behind Guadalajara. It's a crazy Liga MX year. Club America sucks ass, and Club Guadalajara's crushing it. So it's crazy. I will start with you, Ivan. What can LAFC expect of Cruz Azul, a team that has been doing really, really well, for the last year, and is firing all cylinders in Liga MX?
Yeah, that's what's fun about being a Cruz Azul fan is that you never really know what to expect on the field. I think if you're used to watching a team in MLS, you're gonna see the same 11 all the time. Arcamon is the kind of coach that likes to tweak consistently. He'll put a player that maybe is a left back or a left winger into the right side. He'll put a defender, have him be more attacking minded. So I think as a Cruz Azul fan, it's fun to watch. Cruz Azul has always had that identity, and they're not a team like other MLS teams that say, hey, we're going to be an exciting team. They are an exciting team to watch. So you never know what you're going to get in terms of who's going to be playing. Obviously, we know Liga MX and Cruz Azul have like 3 starters for each position, if not everybody's injured. But what I like about Cruz Azul right now is their fluidity and how they can move around the ball. You don't really get to see that kind of play in MLS. It's more South American and in Liga MX style. Obviously, we can talk about the pros and cons of that, but overall, it's a team that is gonna bring it to you, and they want to be the protagonist. So
Mm.
in most games, unless it's a very tight game, you're gonna see a team that wants the ball, a team that if they don't have to have the ball all the time, they can kick it out and just field it out. But overall, it's going to be a fun team to watch. I love Cruz Azul. That's been their history. Play, but you have to win, but play beautiful ball.
Beautiful. All right. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is evaluate each section. The field. We'll start with the goalkeepers, the defense, midfield, and we'll start with we'll finish up with the offense, and we'll go back and forth and debate who you feel has the better section of that field. But before I do that, Eric, well, how do you feel about facing a Liga MX team, a top of the table team, a team that has basically loaded up, had Matty Bogusz, so we know who they are, right? Do you feel like LAFC has a chance? Because if Tirundula was here with us, he would say, well, these guys they're very deep and we're already lost, but maybe we can pull something off, blah, 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 blah. What do you think are LAFC's real chances to beat a Liga MX team in 2026, particularly a team that's been doing so well like Cruz Azul?
I feel like this series has to be at least a coin flip for us to go through. I think it's a little tougher with the second round in Mexico. I think we if we can go there with a 2-goal lead, I feel okay about it. Not great, but I think we need to be at least at a 2-goal lead, preferably a 2-0 without an away goal. But I guess before I can get this, because I don't know a ton about Cruz Azul, I don't watch a lot of Liga MX. The last I had heard of Cruz Azul is that they kind of played anti-soccer or harem ball. But then Ivan's kind of got him sounding like a little Jogo Bonito, like linked play. So I'm not sure what to expect. Like what kind of style has this particular Cruz Azul team been playing, or how do you think they're going to try to play LAFC, Ivan?
Well, Ivan, they just got smashed by Pachuca 2-1, right? So tell me about
Pachuca's a
that
good
game,
team.
what you
Yeah,
saw, and where are the advantages there.
Pachuca's a good team. I don't know if you know Kennedy from said like
John
Uh,
City
Kennedy,
City.
Kennedy,
baby. Oh man, I'd love to see that guy in
I
MLS. He'd
wanted
be
him
so
so
good.
bad for LAFC a couple
Ooh,
years
he's a
ago.
good player.
He is.
He's fantastic to watch. They had Idrisi, that he's from Morocco, like a Moroccan player. Roldan, he's from Venezuela. So Pachuca is a dark horse in my opinion in the league. So they're always going to get that. I don't know who to compare them to. They're like Seattle in MLS. They're always going to win. They're going to act like they're not contenders. They're going to act like, oh, we just barely made it 7th to 8th, but they're going to get to the final and take it from people, right? So Cruz Azul, again, the institutional model is always play beautiful ball. And I think the fans in Cruz Azul, if you hear online, they're very defeatist, but it's almost like it works in their favor because they always come to matches saying, "Oh, we're gonna lose, we suck," and this and that. Meanwhile, like the reality is, they have one of the most expensive squads in Mexico, so that's a way for them to kind of release liability from them and be like, oh, it's on you. If we lose, it's because our team sucked. But if you look at their keepers, the starting keeper for Colombia, the striker was from Tigres. They just bought him for a few million. I think if you're gonna see what you see with Larcamon as a coach, and I know that kind of rings a bell for LAFC fans because he took the TCC away from LAFC back in 23, but he's somebody that is open to changing things and somebody that watches the team. That's fun, right? Because you don't want to see Boanga crash into defenders over and over again and nobody ever pulls him out. If that ever happens to Cruz Azul, he's going to pull him out, switch things. He's going to play. Sometimes he plays with two in the back, like two center backs. He's like, throw the team up in the middle and we're just going to see and move the ball around. So I think some player or some fans are probably upset that he's not getting the results. But Liga MX is sort of like you have to taper through because it's such a short tournament, and if you peak at the right time, you're winning. So he
Mm.
understands that, and I also think that coming into this game, Larcamon's going to work the bench. He's going to be yelling stuff at MDS. He's going to be riling up the. That's something that he does very well, and he's known for that. So I wouldn't doubt seeing a red card or two during this match, even the next one as well. So as Marcos Santos coming into this very jovial and happy, like Larcamon's gonna see that and he's gonna attack it because that
Oh,
plays into the mentality as well. So as
bro.
far as Cruz Azul,
Mm.
we could talk about individual players that
No,
you know
hold
are
on. Yeah,
causing
hold up on
defense.
that because I want to
Yeah.
go through each level of the field. So like you like I noticed they started Godinho, which is not the starter, right? And you mentioned the Colombian goalkeeper. So it looks like Larcamon decided to basically sit most of his players for this game against Pachuca. And you tell me who he said, who he didn't. But Godinho is not the start, right? So who's the start at goal? And how do you think he compares to Hugo Loris?
Oh, Kevin Mira is better. He's probably one of the better keepers in this region. The only reason why he's not playing is he hurt himself last year. Um,
You
he's a
say he
shot
starts for
stopper,
Colombia, right?
starts for Colombia, shot stopper, great with his feet. I think he can get a little. He plays like a libero. You'll see him play in the half side of the field. He's a lot like Tigres' goalkeeper. I forget his name right now. That he's gonna be like in your head, dancing around, doing things. So he's not playing because he's injured. That's the only reason. But he's
Mm.
playing with Colombia. I think they called him up as a fourth option. So obviously
Do
he's
you
in the
think he's
running,
gonna
right?
start, or do you think the Colombian is gonna start? I'm sorry. Do you think the Mexican backup will start?
I think
Gudinho.
Kevin needs starts because he's somebody that can give options to the defense. So you can go in and defend with two center backs and have the
Mm.
team go forward. And he's like that third center back. Again,
Mm. Play
Coutinho
like a
had a really
sweeper.
like a sweeper, yeah, and he had a mistake last Saturday. So now it's in the running. Anyone can start if they're healthy. But if Coutinho is a little bit healthier than Mier, he starts. And he had a big mistake on Saturday that I think cost him his starting spot tomorrow.
Okay, so we got some questions in goalkeeping for the team we're gonna play for Cruz Azul, Eric. Meanwhile, Hugo Lloris looks like a young Hugo Lloris out there once again making a team of the week. He didn't make the team of the week, but he was one of the substitutes, right? Oh, fuck that, exactly. But who do you think has the advantage in the goalkeeping? And you can talk about also LAFC's defense. And who do you think should start for this game? And how do you think they have an advantage over the Cruz Azul forwards in that sense, playing at home too?
You know what? I don't know a ton or even enough about this Cruz Azul team to really say we should have an advantage on the front line. You can't have Boanga and Son. I mean that should be overpower any front line. So which means
Mm.
Cruz Azul is going to need a collective effort to contain these guys. So how much have they game planned on this? It sounds like they rested a lot of guys. They've been preparing heavily for this game. So this, they're going to try to grind out a low score result. I guess that's how I'd see them play. It's going to be up to Boanga and Son and probably Martinez to keep their heads and overcome this.
Mm.
And it looks like they're good at it. I don't know the details of it, but it looks like they got Pachuca to get two guys red carded out. So that tells me Cruz Azul is very good at getting into guys' heads. Um, Mark Dos Santos, as a Canadian, he's going to have a very even and cool temperament, a very very good sense of humor. So I think if they can keep a Canadian sensibility for our LAFC team, they might just be oh sorry guys, and that's how that'll go. They do need some aggression too, all kidding aside.
Well, I
But
mean, I'm worried about what Ivan said though. These guys are gonna get in our heads. They're gonna do what they do, be Latin Americans, and then we're gonna become MLS. And we're like, oh, what are they doing? We don't know what to do. Are you concerned? Like, and again, can this defense, Eric, talk to me about LAFC's defense? Are we up to the fucking task? And who would you start in that back four or three? What would you do? Would you get two fullbacks? Would you put Steady Eddie back? I think we see Steady Eddie back.
no. Well, yeah, I do agree. I do think we get Steady Eddie on the left hand side. Although I could see him going. Hollingshead had a pretty good game too. So it's going to be a collective effort, 100%. And that's what it's going to come down to, is hoping those guys are tired enough and they're on the road and that they can put something together and make it happen. The guys in the back, I think Tafari and Porteous have to be there. So it comes, and Palencia will be there. It's going to come down to Segura or Hollingshead, but Hollingshead had a great game yesterday. So it's hard. I think I'm going to go with Segura because he's
Mm,
resting. Maybe he was resting for a reason, but
mm.
I'm okay. I'm pretty okay with this back line. I
Yeah,
think
I'm pretty okay with making this an extremely boring series, by the way, guys. If there was a one goal or two goals in the entire series, I'd be happy with it. And I think that's how LAFC wins, by the way. We do not want to get into a goal fest with these guys. We want to keep it low scoring at home, do not allow them to score at all, and then decide over there in a low scoring game, Ivan. I'll talk to you about this before, tell me about these guys and tell me who should be starting here and who should be worried about. Dita played on it was a 3-4-2-1 that played on this last game. Dita, Garcia, Piovi, Rodarte, Marquez, Ibanez, and Romero complete the midfield. Before we go into the front three of your team, tell me who we should be worried about among those guys that I said, and who was just a rotational player and, someone perhaps off the bench that we should be worried about.
Yeah, he rotated Saturday versus Pachuca, so it's a
Mhm.
heavily rotated squad. Which I don't know why LAFC didn't rotate. Which that's enough. Maybe people have more inside information on that. But Larcamon understands these type of games. You need to have fresh legs, and if you want to overall see who's there's a couple players that I like to watch. Eric Lira, he's a center back, but he also plays as a midfielder for Cruz Azul. He's a very very interesting player, very smart. He's like an agent of chaos, but also like he's very composed. Charlie is another player. Mexicans hate him because he's with the national team, so you're going to hear a lot from him. But in terms of his tactical awareness, he can be in the midfield, defending, taking balls out, playing that CDM role. And the coach will be like, I need you to play as a winger. And he can flip that
Mm.
switch very easily. So there's a couple players like that at Cruz Azul. Palavecino is probably going to be like the one that's going to be making the passes and scoring. So he's Larcamon's guy. He's like the one that he requested to play for us, and he's probably playing the best under Larcamon. And I hate to say this, but there's probably one or two players per position that you need to watch out for. Starting with the keeper, like I mentioned, I will say the defense is very leaky, and that just comes more with the territory of wanting to play with the ball, and we all know how that is. Sometimes it doesn't always go your way, but players like Piovi, obviously like Lira, they play center back most of the game, but they're really good with the feet, send good passes out, and can be that motivator. Again, if you're a Cruz Azul fan, you probably want them to start Segura. If I'm at LAFC, I wouldn't start Segura. He's
You
a
would not
liability.
start Eddie.
did
Steady
No.
Eddie's been
Ivan
a
did
pillar of the left field. Go ahead, Eric.
did Liga MX play through the international break?
No, and
Okay.
there's a couple players that were there and their national teams, which we can get into. I know LAFC had a few, but not only Sun, right? Sun Martinez and a couple others. Um, and there's a couple injuries and red cards that they were dealing with too. So they should come with most of the lineup. There's a couple players that have been injured that they're not even that haven't been playing anyways, but they should come with a pretty strong lineup overall.
Yeah. I was gonna say, as far as LAFC playing their starters, one is the games at home, and that game's at home, so there's no travel. And two, after the 2 week international break, I think it's good to give a lot of the guys 45 minutes together to kind of start to get those juices flowing. I do think the second leg, regardless of how the first leg comes out, we're going to see a heavy rotation because we go to Portland this weekend. We travel to Portland this weekend, and then
Nah,
we'll travel
we're
on
not
Tuesday.
traveling. We're gonna bring the kids to Portland, homie. The real people are gonna go to Mexico.
Yeah,
Spring
no,
breaking, baby.
I have a feeling this Portland game, we're going to see a good chunk of our team. They're going to stay home. They're not even going to
For
travel for
fuck's
that
sakes, you
game.
do not want to travel those guys to the Pacific Northwest before
No,
go to
not
Mexico
to
in the
go play on
biggest
the
game of your
turf up at
fucking season.
yeah, 100%.
Sorry,
So I
I'm
just wanted
mouthy
to
today,
I
boys.
just wanted to answer that one.
No, that's a good point. But again, like please, this is the time to leave everybody home, rehab, just watch tape, be cool. Do not go on the goddamn grass of Portland trying to be a hero. Like that coach is about to fall. Like you just literally take Jew Terry and 10 dudes and let it rip.
Yeah.
and then
The
go to
the shut
Mexico and finish the shit.
the
Finish
shutout
the shit.
record, the shutout record is not worth it.
I don't give a fuck about the shutout record. The shutout
We
record means
already
nothing.
have
It
it.
means we get home field advantage if we get to the MLS final. That's the only advantage of winning the goddamn title is because you get to host the final. It's really about that. Nothing else matters about that. Ivan, let's talk about the forwards and then you give me your starting 11 for Cruz Azul. Who do we have to wait? Like you talked about, spend a lot of money on on a new forward. But who do you think is gonna be the guy, the difference maker for Cruz Azul? Yes, Azul in this series, people. I mean, like it's. I have a feeling they're gonna have at least one goal in this game. Who's gonna be?
I I want to keep it interesting. I think it's going to be Campos. Um, I think he has a little chip on his shoulder. There's rumors of why he left or why he didn't. I think he's playing the best right now ball he's ever played in his career. So
The
has
law of
a
the
few,
X, Omar.
yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah, and
love it.
Ostaki was at Cruz Azul too, and he was also injured there. So that's another interesting tidbit. But I think they're going to go with Mier. They're going to go, let's say 3-4-3, but Larcamon never ends a game 3-4-3. He's going to probably switch. It's going to be Piovi, Dita, and Lira at the center back, Marquez Palavecino, Campos on the right, and Rotondi. That's a big question, but also a news that came up that he's healthy now, and he's a very polarizing player too. And I know he's, in my opinion, he's fucking amazing. He's a workhorse. He's gonna tire that left field. Palencia and Rotundi matchup is gonna be chef's kiss. I want to see that. And at the front, you're gonna see Charlie, either Toro or Ibanez at the front. It's probably most likely to be Ibanez as a striker, and Paradela. Again, I don't know
Mm.
who's healthy or who's not. I can't remember everybody, but more or less that's probably what you're gonna see. And if the players that, again, the change makers, I would probably put it as Campos because he has that chip. But also if he goes against Segura, he's gonna cook him.
Well, bro, like he's a fullback. You telling me he's gonna cook us? Well, like I do believe in the law of the X. Eric has watched enough Brazilian football to understand the law of the X, and you can tell anyone that's watching what it is and what it means. And then after that, please give me your starting 11 for LAFC, Eric.
Yeah, as far as the law
And
of
do
the
you
X,
agree with the law of the X? Do you think Omar is gonna punish us?
well, Edward Atuesta didn't punish us. Ilie Sanchez didn't punish us. Um, Christian Ramirez didn't punish us. I don't think there's any ex LAFC players we have faced this season that have punished us. So
Good
sometimes
point.
the X's will come and get you, but sometimes when it's
We're
over,
not talking
it's
about
over,
women.
and there's no more of your heart in there to get hurt. So I think that's kind of where we are. There's nothing in our heart left for them to hurt, so we're good. So
Bro, like I liked Omar. I thought he was a great guy, and I for some
I did
reason
too.
like we didn't like he won us the U.S. Open Cup. He won us a title, and like we just showed him the fucking door, and we got some dude from Ukraine to replace him. And
Yeah,
again, I know they play opposite sides of the field, but I do believe we look at fullbacks as
no,
fullbacks. We don't look
same
at
side.
fullbacks as special sides, right? What's up?
They they play the same side, I
Oh no, he's a
believe.
left back, right? That's
Yeah,
right. He used to play close to one, right?
but
Like
look,
we would literally like put this guy on the side and say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna go with this Ukrainian dude.
look
He's unproven."
at the end of the day, it's good for Omar Campos that we let him go. Otherwise, he'd be just like Smoliakov this year because
Yeah,
MDS wants fullbacks who can play center back. And I will
right.
guarantee you, Omar Campos probably cannot play a very good center
He's
back.
not. He wanted to be out there with
So,
he wanted to be out there with the knee, and that caused some issues for us. And he wasn't necessarily fast enough going back, right, Ivan? So again, I go to you, and I have to ask you: do you feel that Cruz Azul has the biggest chance, the best chance of winning the series, given they're the better team? I would say they're more complete roster, right? And they are the team I would say with more experience. They have a more experienced coach, and they're in a league that doesn't have a salary cap. So does that give them an advantage in that series? And do you think they're gonna win it?
Yeah, this is a good point because I think you can get philosophical, but what's the why, right? what's the why of LAFC wanting to win this? What's the why of Cruz Azul wanting to win this? And I think Cruz Azul has a better motivation because they want to be the winningest team ever in Champions Cup, and they can obtain that by winning this season or this tournament. And I don't know, LAFC, you'd have to ask. They kept asking MDS in the presser, like, if he's a favorite, and he kept saying Cruz Azul's a favorite, this and that. So he was deflecting a lot. They kept asking Cruz Azul who's a favorite, and they were deflecting back to each other. I honestly would say, like, if I'm just being very, very analytical, it's 50-50. I think this
Mm.
can go either way. There's a couple factors we can get into the stadium. We can get into Rasul's motivation overall to win another tournament versus LAFC's motivation to be like the marquee team in this region. But I think that that's what's there's going to be a few factors that are being playing into this. I've seen a lot of LAFC fans sell tickets for their game tomorrow. I don't know if there's a lot of hype around this game. I haven't seen it. Um, I don't know why a lot of people
You said
dismiss
there was a lot
CCC.
of pesos on the line for those tickets, bro. 3,900 pesos.
Yep. I think right now you see the cheapest one going in supporters. It's like 110, $100 plus. So again, this is a game where I think this is what soccer is for. I'm cool with seeing a 0-0-1-1 for other reasons, but I think that's going to be a fun matchup. I think you're going to see high stakes, like the Alojalense game we saw in return. LAFC cannot afford to do that. Like the first getting scored the first 3 minutes is going to be a no. Like Cruz is going to eat you up like that. So if LAFC thinks this Alajuelense or LAFC fans think Cruz Azul is a Costa Rican team, it's not. It's a different level. But again, I think the motivation factor is going to play a big key in this. Does LAFC want to win this tournament?
Better win it, right, Eric? And Eric, I would just read the odds real quick. LAFC enters as the favorites with odds of -200. That's not bad. That's a true favorite right there. With Cruz Azul, they're facing defensive absences, so they're already listed at +220. That's a massive odds for a dog at away, particularly. So tell me a little bit about how you feeling about this game. And it's that time, buddy. Tell me what the score is gonna be.
Oh, well, so what gives me hope for this game is part of it is how I saw them attack Orlando yesterday. And Orlando is obviously is a broken team, but
Oh, they don't know what they're doing. They're
but the
totally
way
done.
that every player fought for every second ball, and even when they were up 5-0, they didn't stop fighting for that second ball. It looked to me like a very hungry team. And hearing that MDS is basically is drilling them that we are underdogs in this game. Like you all need to have your head straight. I think it's good to come at it from an underdog perspective as opposed of we're a great team, guys. If we have our best day, we're gonna win, and that's how it goes. No. Say, hey, every MLS team knows what is at stake going against Liga MX sides. I mean, these are the teams that always beat us. And so you got to look at that history and that horrible win percentage we have against them in this tournament and say, you guys, like, as you know, as I said, how badly do you want to win this game? And the team I saw last weekend looked like a team that pretty badly wanted to win games. Like, it doesn't
Mm.
look like they have any losing bones in their body. So if they fight hard, if they can win the second balls, and this game is going to come down to winning the second balls and getting in the mud and wrestling around in the mud. This will be an ugly couple of games, I think. And
You
I
think so?
love ugly victories, but there can be a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to
Are you,
say
are you,
this
are
is
you
going to
thinking
be
Omar 3-0 like him?
3-1. It's going to be a 3-1 LAFC victory, and that's going to set up a very high pressure, tense second leg.
I cannot see that. I think they're gonna put like everyone, the Cruz Azul president. They're gonna have like little tiny pieces of cement everywhere. The cement company, like, middle managers will be there. That will be everyone defending, brother. It will be really hard to score 3 goals in this team, especially given that there's another 90 minutes on the other side, right? But I appreciate you saying
I,
it's gonna be a 3-1.
I
Omar
want
thinks
to
it's gonna
know,
be three
Ivan.
nothing, motherfucker. Is it
Ivan, does
crazy?
does Cruz Azul do they park the bus?
Of course they're gonna park the bus. Who's not gonna park the bus on a 180-minute game, having to play in the United States, given that they have to play in Mexico in the
Where's
second
their
game?
Mexican Jogo Bonito?
There's no fucking Jogo Bonito. It's a Continental Cup game. You
Hey,
play ugly and you just survive the shit. This is how it is. You played it. You've seen enough Libertadores games how they are, Eric. You know you don't win pretty in this stuff. It's never pretty. If it's pretty, something is wrong with it. Something is
Yeah.
wrong. Like one of the sides doesn't know what they're doing,
hey,
like Columbus
it can
Crew.
be there can be an ugly 3-1.
It could be an ugly 3-1. It can happen. It can happen. And I like your score prediction, and that would give it a massive advantage to LAFC, which by the way,
Mhm.
3-1 seems really good, but all you need is a 2-0, and then suddenly the game's like boom, it's changed it again. So Ivan, do you agree with Eric? He thinks it's gonna be what? 3-1, and Cruz Azul is just gonna get dominated. Your team. So the first question you're gonna ask is, what are you gonna be wearing tomorrow? And the second question you're gonna ask is, who's gonna
I'm gonna
win?
be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be wearing what I gotta wear. No,
Well, I don't care if you were there or not, but I just want to know what you're gonna wear tomorrow and what is the score of this game.
because this is the LAFC podcast. I'm gonna wear my LAFC gear. So, and by the way, people wanted me to wild out. They're sending me messages. I'm like, I'm not gonna wild out here. I'm a guest on their podcast. I'm section 128. So we'll wild out in
It
another
doesn't
episode.
matter.
But
I put
no,
you on the Cruz Azul corner, bro.
no, I think it's tough because it's something, I guess, if you're a Liga MX fan, you grew up watching that team. Like that's your team that you grew up watching. I have a lot of reservations about the league right now. I think it's in a very poor state generally. We can go into that conversation later, but MLS is surpassing them in infrastructure and marketing. The ball, I don't think they have surpassed them yet in terms of
Mm,
that um, on the field, but it's going to happen sooner than later, right? We all see the writing on the wall. I'm not mad at that 3-1 prediction, but is that enough going back to Puebla?
mm,
Because I think we've seen that over and over again. And MLS teams probably can have nightmares about saying, we're up 3-0. Look at San Diego. We're up like, against the Luca, right? And then, nope. Or I forgot how much they were up. But I was like, nope, doesn't matter, right? Um, I think the series is going to be tight, but I think we're going to see a lot of goals.
mm,
Um, I think Cruz Azul probably lose tomorrow and they win the one return. So
mm,
2-0 tomorrow is highly likely on LAFC. Cruz Azul is probably looking at tying the game and probably winning off of like an ugly, like last minute kind of thing. But they're okay with going the distance, right? I think um, I don't know what the fans want to see out of this match, but it's not going to be like we're going to score a lot. It's not going to be easy, but it can be possible if Cruz Azul opens up a little bit, right? But yeah, I think a 2-0 tomorrow LAFC in return, Cruz Azul will win it overall.
Oh,
And if you're an LAFC fan, yeah.
we don't need to talk about the return game because the return game is a product of the first game.
Well, we
I'm
got
not.
next
I'm not.
Monday. We got next Monday to talk
We got
about the
next Monday.
return
You can
game.
come back. You're a friend here. I love your takes. People confuse often real life with X and Twitter. You just saw Alex Vilalas today
Don't
talk
give it
about the
away.
fact
Don't give
that
it
guess
away.
what? I play a role and motherfuckers love it. Guess what? We all play a role out there. So chill the fuck down. It's Twitter.
Oh, dude,
Literally, it's just
I,
Twitter.
we've known Ivan for probably 6 years
I
at this
know. Like
point,
I'm gonna block
and
this
like
man, and
no,
I'm like,
when when
it's
he
just
triggers
Ivan.
people
He's
on
just
Twitter,
having fun.
it is so funny because
This
we
is
know who
not
he
the rule
is.
of law. He's not law enforcement. But anyways,
He's the
I digress.
king of
I
shit
gotta get out
takes,
of here,
king of
guys.
LAFC shit takes.
I know, and keep it up because that's all it is about. Once the
It's
ecosystem
fun.
gets too tame, it will die.
Yes.
So please continue to
Oh,
polarize, continue to come up with your amazing takes because that's what it is all about. You have
and
opinions and you want to voice them.
and
It's
I'll
not
give it,
that bad.
and I got to give it the credit is Ivan will say the most out there take, and he ends up being right about it way more times than he should be at all. So it's almost amazing how much of his takes that are out there end up being true in the end. So
It really is. You got the mindset. And by the way, the game is not going to be in Mexico City because of, I believe, the World Cup. They're already moving the stadium and such. So it's going to be in Puebla, which is a little bit of a disadvantage to Cruz Azul because we don't get to
Beautiful
play them
city
in the
too, though.
stadium, right?
Yeah,
That's
beautiful
true.
city, 2 hours away from Mexico City. If you are
Hmm.
going, take the bus from the airport. The buses in Mexico are A class to travel in. So super safe, super clean, and they feed you and all the it's like traveling first class, right? I'm gonna plug too, I'll probably post it.
Do it.
Next week I'm gonna be watching the Cruz Azul LAFC match at a local bar in Hermosa Beach. It's a
Okay.
Formula One bar. So if you like
Okay.
Formula One and want to try out the simulators, I'll
Shit,
post
I
it
love
there on the
Formula One, bro. I wouldn't
yeah,
mind going watch you.
yeah, come watch it, and that'll be the return. It all depends on how tomorrow's match goes because it can. I don't think it ends at 3-0. I don't think that means the game is over, even if that
It
happens.
would keep going.
So yeah, so I'll post it on the chat if anybody wants to come watch it with me next Tuesday.
Okay, maybe I'll make it, man. It's a big game, and I love to check out these simulators because I'm really into the F1 shit. So,
hey,
good shit, guys.
if
Good shit.
LAFC wins 6-0, can Cruz Azul come back from that?
But by the way, I didn't give my prediction yet, but I'm not as optimistic as you guys. I think this is gonna be a little bit of a tough game for LAFC, and if we can get out of there with a tie, it would actually be very good. I don't believe LAFC has the tools to deal with this team. We saw a lot of issues with LAFC in CCL, and again, it's fool's gold to think that because you destroyed Orlando, you're gonna do the same thing with Cruz Azul. And by the Azul, sorry, Azul. But the truth is you know, it's been 3 days, and now you got to field the same guys that were playing in the 6-0 run and make everybody like just go crazy in the stadium. Now they have to do the same thing on a Tuesday. So it's not easy to replicate that. Football is a very interesting sport. Your body really needs time to heal. So I hope the boys are ready. We really need to show up, but I'm not very optimistic about this game. I'm calling it a 1-1 tie, and we're going to fucking have to go to Mexico and battle it out.
And
It's going to
La
be
Sangre
rough,
Azul's gonna
boys.
show up. La Sangre Azul's gonna show up tomorrow. Like it's
They're
gonna
gonna
be.
show up, and they're gonna
Mhm.
show up. They might get a scrappy goal, and then we're gonna get
Yeah.
one back, and then we're gonna have to go decide it over there. And now we're gonna see what kind of team we are, right? What kind of team can we beat? Because no team can win anything without adversity, and this team has just been coasting outside of a bad 2 matches against Alajuelense of Costa Rica. So now here comes a very good continental team, and I really, really like to see what kind of LAFC shows up. So thank
But
you
I
very
want to ask
much for both of you to show
you
up.
who's the game changer? Who's the game changer tomorrow? Quick
The
for
game
LAFC.
changer for me has to be Nathan Ordaz. Nate the Great will decide the game for us. It has to be him. Eric, real quick before we get out.
Son Heung-min.
Sung Hyun Ming has to be him too. If not him, who else? Ivan.
For Cruz Azul is gonna be Campos. For LAFC is gonna be Lloris.
That's it. Well,
We're
thank you very
we're
much,
riding
guys.
we're meat riding Son Heung-min. We're
Let's
riding
meet
that
there.
meat.
Let's meet ride that Korean barbecue, baby. Well done. We love it. Thank you very much, guys. You guys been great. And of course, please sign up on the YouTube. We really, really love you to subscribe, put the whole notification jam going. And by the way, I did not forget there is a card, a David Martinez signed autograph card. We're going to be working on that. Couldn't do it today because I'm in Orlando, but we're going to be giving it out the next Monday. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next week.